It's Brian Preston, the money guy.
This is complicated versus simple. This has changed. Yeah, I mean,
this is one that I fell prey to early on, but I think all young people fall prey to this. Can I paint with such a broad brush to say that whenever we think about financial success and we think about wealthy people, we think about people that have done really good things, we naturally say, oh, well, they must have a really complicated, black box, super sophisticated, really difficult thing that they figured out. And I really want my situation to mirror their situation because that's what it takes to be successful.
Well, I remember, I have 16 years of doing taxes. And I can remember being a brand new, freshly minted CPA or an accountant that was working towards getting a CPA and doing taxes. And I'd see somebody's tax return, and if they had a Schedule B for their interest and dividends, a Schedule D for their capital gains and all those transactions, a Schedule E for all their rental property, and then Schedule E page 2, which meant they had K1s with all their businesses they own. I was like, wow, this is so cool that these people.
How excited he just
No,
got?
it's true because I can remember thinking, I still remember a tax return I did. I don't remember all the numbers. I don't remember the name, but this guy was him and his wife. This is, like I said, this is back in the mid 90s. They made it like $350 or something like that, but they had rental property. They had K1s coming in from their businesses. I was like, I can't wait to when I have all that stuff going on. That is going to just be so cool. And then here's the thing is like, what's so funny is I run in circles where I still have a lot of CPA friends. And I have one CPA friend specifically. He's trying to pay down all of his debts. He's doing stuff somewhat irrationally because he just says, I want my life simple.
Yeah.
And I get it because here's the truth of the matter. And I had this under Money Guy teachable moment, but I think it's worth bringing it up is that when success creates complexity naturally.
That's so true.
There is no need to go seek it out, guys. It's going to come for you. I mean, it is hiding it around all the corners. So if you just will do what you need to, you don't need to go hunt out the complexity just for the sake that you are looking the part before you're ready. Because, and let me give you a perfect case study. I started managing money. You know when the scariest times for you to work with somebody? When they first start doing it. When they don't have their 10,000 hours that has created mastery in their field of study. When I first started managing money, I was brand new. I'd moved on from being an accountant. Now I was an accountant that did financial planning. And the first thing you think of when you think of investments, you said this, Bo, is that rich people have fancy, sexy stuff. And, so a fancy, sexy thing is you want to go buy a separate account management, an SMA, so that you are getting into individual stocks that a manager specifically is picking out for you.
They're picking them for you.
You're not buying into some boring old mutual fund. You're buying into a manager. He's going to think of your name when he buys the holdings. Here's the reality. So I did this. My father and mother, I just found their net worth when I was trying to do research for the show. I don't come from money. So my parents, their total investment assets when my dad was sick was like a little over $200,000 total. I mean, that was everything. And then, but my dad had a 401k that he'd rolled into an IRA that had like 130 grand into it. I put that one account into a large cap SMA account with this manager. And it's the worst decision, but I thought it was it was the right thing. This is what you do for wealthy people. And my parents had no business being in this. But I remember my dad calling and saying, son, why are they buying me 3 shares of Walmart? Why am I getting 3 shares of Raytheon? It's all these kind of, I'm like, and why is my mailbox full of junk every day from all the prospectus, the proxies, all the annual reports? It was all there. And it was trash. I mean, what's funny is that I fast forward as I was doing research for the show, that $100,000 investment, because I had a $100,000 minimum, when I finally got smart enough to get it out of that, it was like 70 grand. I did my parents so wrong. I was not a good financial advisor at the time. I didn't know what I believed, and I thought complicated was where it was at.
Yep.
And I'm just telling you guys, that is not how things work. Now, it doesn't mean, because this is the Money Guy teachable part of it, is that simple does not mean it doesn't have complexity in it, because we try to create plans that have a lot of moving parts going on.
They're sophisticated.
They're sophisticated, but the answers, you will understand it. It will be simple enough for you to understand. That's why we love index funds. We love things that are transparent. We love things that you can explain. You say it all the time, but if you can explain this to somebody behind you at the grocery store line, it's probably going
exactly right.
And it's the part that you need to minimize moving parts. Everybody knows I'm going to go talk about it because I don't even know if I talked about it in show note prep, but Tesla. I love my Tesla Model 3.
We knew it was coming.
But here's
right?
the thing that I like about it, and this is what I think that the legacy auto manufacturers don't get. When they need a new water pump at General Motors, they go hire a team of engineers to design a water pump, to cool down that part of the engine or whatever. Tesla looked at this from a ground up and they said, no, we want simple. We're still going to need, something, cooling and other features, but we're going to figure out if we can create a cooling system that not only just cools the air conditioner, but also cools this part, the battery. It's more integrated because they realize the simpler and the less moving parts, the better and the better the design is. And that's the simple. It gets back to simple. Complexity is not your friend.
And that's why we tell folks all the times when they come to us, one of the very first things we like to do when a new person reaches out to potentially work with us is, hey, send us what you got. Send us your tax return. Send us your statements. Let us lay it all out and see what you have, and let us work you through how to simplify your financial life. And then even in terms of how you save, one of the things we say is let's just set it up to happen automatically. I've got this much going into this account, this much going into this account. I don't have to think about it. The more you can do that, the more likely you are to stick to a solid long-term plan without having to go find the next private placement or go buy that sexy insurance product or go read the 10Ks for the annual stock announcements. You don't have to do that kind of stuff. You can actually make it a lot more simple.
And it doesn't even have to be investments. I mean, I just met with a couple. Kevin, I'm talking about you. You'll hear this because he's a money guy as well. Him and his wife probably had 6 to 10 retirement accounts that can be consolidated. I mean, and that's so we're not talking about, it doesn't have to just be your investments. It could be just the structure, because if all the different companies you worked for, if you've changed jobs 3 or 4 times, your spouse changed jobs, you're probably going to have a whole legacy of a bunch of different accounts. It looks like a quilt
I was about to say
of your
the
life.
patchwork quilt of your financial life.
But you can consolidate your life. Simple does not have to mean, it doesn't have to just be the investment. It could be the structure of your investments too. So think about those things. Your estate plan, the structure of your investments. Simple can be your friend. It can be sophisticated, but it should be as easy as possible, because the less moving parts, the more successful you'll be.
You know, one thing I love about financial planning, Brian, is that it doesn't happen in a vacuum, right? So when we design a plan for a client, it's not like that plan just stays static forever, right? It's something you continually monitor and revisit and monitor and revisit. So too does financial advice. It's something that you monitor and revisit and monitor and revisit. And that's what I love about this show. It allowed us to go look at some of the advice. And I don't think, I mean, some of it was wrong. SMA might have been wrong. But just like the tightwad thing and some of that stuff just evolves as the landscape changes.
It's not wrong. It's changed.
It's changed.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. And I think that so long as you can look at your financial picture that way and be open to change, it's amazing how much less stress you'll feel in your financial life. You're not having to stick to a static, I have to do things this exact way.
So, and that's a great lead in to kind of close this thing out. We have a brand new, if you go to our website, we've had this up for just a few months, go to our resource page. Go to moneyguy.com, check out the resource page. We have all kind of tools, PDFs, other things you can bring in to learn how to grow your assets better. I mean, it is totally the teachable stuff we're sharing here. We're actually giving you things that you can now use to accelerate the process. Right. And then I want you to think about the abundance cycle. A lot of you might be brand new. This is a show that's going out in the first part of the year. A lot of you guys are just discovering us. We're seeing I mean, if you look at it, we're quickly approaching 50,000 YouTube subscribers. And I know the podcast has been booming for going on 2 decades now. So a lot of you are discovering, you're like, how can these guys just give away free information? I just don't get it. The reason is because we want you to come learn, apply, grow. We are already harvesting our first crops of people who listen to the show as they graduated college. Now they are starting companies, they're managing companies, and they are getting to the point of complexity. They're going, I need somebody to look over my shoulder. That is the abundance cycle. So we appreciate that. We don't take it for granted. We started this as a passion project to educate you, and it is just paying off with creating a bumper crop, and we want to keep that rolling for years to come.
If you're someone out there listening in audio world on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, all of those, we do a live stream every other Tuesday. We're going to do this at 10 a.m. Central Time. At the end of this live stream, we're going to cut off the recording, but we're going to stay live with our audience, and we're going to answer your questions. So if you want to have some direct interaction with us, ask some direct questions. We're going to answer them. We are going to give away some swag. What's so funny is somebody just said, hey, I think your next swag should be Money Guy koozies. Little do you know, we have Money Guy koozies.
Taiwan Nation koozies.
So I just think that is hilarious. So if you want to hang out and stay with the live Q&A, we will answer your questions. And we just thank you so much for tuning in and checking us out.
Money Guy team, out.